In today's video, I'll be completing Hitman's Club 27 without a HUD, suit only, silent assassin on master difficulty. In Hitman's fourth mission, Agent 47 finds himself in the capital of Thailand, Bangkok, in the luxurious Himmapan Hotel where the rockstar Jordan Cross is celebrating his 27th birthday. Meanwhile, Cross's lawyer, Ken the Brick Morgan, is also due to check in, but his room, having been trashed by Cross's entourage, is not yet ready. So he's meandering about on the ground floor of the hotel, getting increasingly irate with every minute that passes. The mission is simply to eliminate both targets without being spotted, and just to pre-warn you, this was the most difficult mission I've attempted so far, and it took me a very long time. That being said, whilst it did take a long time, I did eventually manage to complete it. So if you want to see how I completed the mission right away, then skip to the time on the screen and you'll be right there in the thick of it. But if you want to watch how we designed the final run, then continue watching. The loadout for the mission will be the same as always. It's going to be the original starting location, 47 signature suit, the ICA gold baller, the lockpick MK3 and 3 coins. And as always, the video will be broken down into 2 stages. Stage 1, the plan. This is where I'll be scoping out the areas, finding the best passages and routes, gathering an absurd amount of intel, and coming up with the best plan of action, and of course making lots and lots of mistakes. Stage 2, the execution. This is where all HUD options will be turned off, and I'll complete the mission based upon the plan we designed in Stage 1 with no cuts and no saves. Welcome to Supercut, the series where we take an entire Let's Play and condense it into one video. My name is Mr. Supercut, and this is Club 27. In my first run, which I'm counting as run 0, I attempted to pass 2 guards and didn't realise that I didn't have my HUD turned on after finishing the last mission in Marrakesh, so quickly turned it all on and hit restart. Run 1 was all about gathering intel, so I headed toward the front desk, checked in under Tobias Reaper and followed the bellhop up to my room. Just outside my room was a cleaning trolley with a note left by the hotel manager, Mrs. Mukjai. The note stated that the entirety of Wing A had been closed off to the public to allow Jordan Cross, the rock star, and his entourage complete privacy over the next couple of weeks. I headed into my room but found nothing of interest other than the intriguing detail that if you stand on the weighing scales, the number shows up as 47. I headed out and quickly realised that all the rooms were locked and needed a specific key card to get access. I noticed another guest heading back to his room, so quickly grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall and followed him in. I followed him into the bathroom and knocked him out, and then dragged him through the room in the hope of finding somewhere to dump his body. In the bedroom I found a key to a speedboat, which I assumed was the speedboat that was tied up in Run 0. I dragged him out of the front door to his room and dumped him in a basket for dirty laundry, and that's where he would stay for all eternity. Next to the laundry basket was another note left by Mrs. Mukjai stating that the occupant of room 207 was somebody called Mrs. Carrington, who was very demanding and was a big fan of male company. I wasn't sure how this was relevant, but I was sure it would be at some point in the future. I tried heading back into the man's room but found that I hadn't picked up his key card, so tried shooting the lock but to no avail. I headed back to my room and out onto the balcony, climbed over the side, shimmied over to the pipe, climbed up and wandered onto the top floor, which was currently off limits. Whilst trying to make it through the doors, I got spotted by a bellhop but decided just to carry on scoping out the area. I continued around and came across another bellhop standing next to an open window, and for absolutely no reason whatsoever I launched from the top floor onto the floor below. I continued on and killed another bellhop, picked up some soda cans and then headed up a set of stairs which took me to the top room of the hotel. Up there I found a weird looking dude just hanging about and giving off general creeper vibes, so I killed him and stole his clothes. I wandered about the top floor for a little while longer but quickly found that there was absolutely nothing of interest at all. I headed back down the stairs, and as I was about to get spotted, I hit restart. In run 2, I checked in again at the front desk and made the exact same mistake as last time of running through the camera. I didn't have the time to waste this time round, so ignored the bellhop who would escort me to my room and sprinted there alone. However, instead of heading into my room, I followed one of the lady guests into the nearby lounge area. After listening to a brief but dull conversation about the man in her room, she wandered off and I found the guy from the last run, followed him back to his room, knocked him out, picked up the speedboat key and then headed back out after realising there was absolutely nothing of value in the room. I headed down the main staircase and came across a lounge which nobody was allowed in and a seating area overlooking the hotel restaurant. As I headed down the staircase, I came face to face with the lawyer, so quickly ran away as to not look suspicious. I headed round the corner into the nearby toilets to see if I could find anything of use and then headed back out when I couldn't. As I was sprinting away, I bumped into the woman from the lounge and so followed her back into the toilet. I knocked her out, which she noticed me doing a split second before the fire extinguisher cracked her skull. Before carting her off into the nearby wardrobe, I picked up her room keycard, which was for number 207, which I had learned for the first run was the room of Mrs. Carrington. I headed up the stairs and straight for her room and found a man who appeared to be napping in the fetal position. I launched the fire extinguisher directly at his forehead to send him into an eternal slumber. In the bedroom there was a microphone that was lying in a cardboard box, and the intel told me that it was a really dodgy, dangerous one depending on the voltage, which was very interesting. I peered out of the window, taking in the sight, and then went and placed the fire extinguisher back on the wall, ensuring my innocence. I headed up the staircase and was refused entry as the upper floor was off limits, which was strange to me because in the first run when I came from behind the guards it didn't count as trespassing. That was irrelevant anyway because I'd also learned in the first run that there was absolutely nothing even remotely interesting up there. After heading out of the main entrance I ran past a couple of the Rockstar's entourage who were loudly discussing their colleague Julian's recent escapades. Julian had picked up a package from the front desk and then carried it with him after being wooed by Mrs. Carrington. An educated guess led me to believe the package in question was the microphone, and the conked-down nudist was Julian. After running past the group, I headed through a set of doors that led to a decrepit underground hallway. I tried to sneak past the guards but failed to spot the camera directly above, and they turned and immediately opened fire. I never fail to amaze myself in just how awful I am at using the gold baller, which makes the final run look like a miracle, and you'll understand what I mean when you watch me take out the lawyer. After eventually wiping out the two guards, I hit restart. In run 3, I took an immediate left and headed through those doors again into the underground hallway. This time I made sure to take out the camera and managed to sneak past the guards and bellhops without being spotted and picked up a rusty crowbar in the process. I continued on through and found a shower room / break room with yet another note from Mrs. Mukjai. The note explained that the lawyer's suite had been trashed by the Rockstar's posse and the hotel staff needed to get it cleaned ASAP Rocky. I pressed on and found a staircase which I didn't climb and a door that led back into the locker room. I continued through to the next room and found 3 hotel staff just having a chat about the lifestyles of the rich and the famous. I exited the room and almost got spotted by who I assumed was the man in charge of the guard unit because he had a special hat on. I avoided him and moved into the linen room and found yet another note left by Mrs. Mukjai which had a little comment about Agent 47 and how he had requested total privacy so nobody was to enter his room under any circumstances unless specifically instructed to. I picked up some rat poison and after a while of just hanging about I headed through the nearby doors and got spotted by a camera that I failed to see. I killed the camera and headed up the nearby staircase which took me to the back of the hotel. I saw a pipe that led all the way up to the top floor but had no idea how to get to it without being spotted, so decided to run in the opposite direction. In doing so I got spotted by an exterminator, so exterminated him and then killed the nearby hotel staff as well. The guards came running and I tried to take them out, but unfortunately they got the better of me and took me down instead. In run 4, I headed through the underground hallway back to the locker room and got spotted immediately, so took out several of the guys standing there, but unfortunately the one covered in soap suds managed to slip away. I stole the guard's uniform and moved into the washroom and found a major piece of intel lying on the machines. A master keycard. I headed into the linen room, knocked everybody out, stole a bellhop uniform and then got spotted by the camera I got spotted by in the last run because I'd forgotten that it was there. I took out some more civilians, picked up my guard outfit and then headed through some more corridors, eventually coming out near a staircase that led up to the kitchen on the ground floor. I knocked out the 2 chefs and then quickly stole one of their uniforms and headed through the kitchen in the hope of finding some more intel. I flitted around and found absolutely nothing and eventually just cracked a guy across the head with a crowbar, to which everybody reacted by running away. I took out some more civilians and headed up to the first floor, continuing my rampage of utter mayhem. There was absolutely no point to the madness itself, but sometimes you just need to let it all out. After some more murders in the building, I headed up to the second floor and took out the rest of the population, unfortunately using all my ammo in the process, and so had to resort to using a screwdriver. It was a very messy business. I followed a civilian out onto the roof and took her out right beside 2 guards who eventually had the gumption to take me out. In run 5, I took out the 2 women in the storage room and then took out the guards after they were alerted to my presence, and then took out another guard who was alerted to my presence and then restarted the run. In run 6, I took out the guard first but got spotted by the bellhop, so restarted the run. In run 7, I got caught in a vicious loop in the washroom whilst trying to pick up the master keycard, running around the washing machines, doing my best to not get spotted, but ended up getting spotted anyway. I knocked out the bellhop and gardener and dumped their bodies and carried on out of the room, only to be spotted by a guard who'd gone for a stroll. I knocked him out and then hit restart. In run 8, I tried hiding in the wash basket so I could climb out and knock out the bellhop when he was in front of me, but instead I climbed out directly in front of his face, so hit restart. In run 9, I hid behind the wall next to the patrolling guard and tried to silently take him out on his way back, but his fellow guard heard the commotion and began firing. I shot him dead and hit restart. In run 10, I headed into the washroom and managed to pick up the master keycard without any issues and then headed out in the same fashion. The route I was hoping to take currently had the guard captain heading directly toward me, and because of my impatience I failed to knock him out sensibly and he spotted me before I hit him in the head. I dumped the body and then tried to figure out how to get past the next group of civilians, which actually was fairly straightforward, and then headed up the nearby staircase and eventually made it all the way up to the rooms. Now I had the master keycard, I could explore them all to my heart's content, but annoyingly there was nothing particularly useful or interesting. I headed into room 207 and picked up the microphone just because, and then headed over to room 208 and picked up the keys for the speedboat. After that, I used the keycard to gain access to the rooftop that connected the two wings, but unfortunately there was a camera directly above which I was recorded on. I took it out and when the coast appeared clear, I carried on, only to get myself spotted by yet another camera. I took out the two approaching guards, snuck in through a nearby door and found I couldn't press on, headed back out, took out the gardener situated in the middle of the roof, saved the game before trying to pull the partygoer out of the window, and then found I couldn't pull the partygoer out of the window, so headed through the nearby door, unlocked the nearby room and found nothing inside, headed into the hallway, took out the camera, headed into the next room and found nothing inside except a rubber duck made out of vibranium. After heading back out, I was spotted by a partygoer and had no idea where he'd come from. I took him and the nearby sound guy out and then headed through a nearby room full of zonked out crackheads. I quickly headed through the room and out onto the balcony, climbed up to the top floor and then stuck my way through the rooms and managed to come face to face with the rockstar himself. I tossed a coin in an attempt to distract the nearby crew and then gain access to the recording booth to change the microphone to the very dangerous one, but I got spotted whilst heading in and out. I wandered into the nearby office space and fortunately the guard was feeling generous and so began escorting me away as opposed to killing me then and there. I broke away from him and headed up the stairs and found yet another group of crackheads. I hurried into a nearby bedroom and hid in the wardrobe until the coast was clear and then had a quick look around but found nothing that would help me now. Eventually I headed out and was immediately spotted and killed. In run 11, I went to pick up the master keycard but got spotted whilst doing so and what unfolded was absolute absurdity, so just hit restart. In run 12, I got spotted again picking up the master keycard but managed to take them out without anybody else descending on the location and then headed through to the linen room. I picked up the rat poison, headed out through the double doors, got spotted again by the stupid camera I kept forgetting about, knocked out the overzealous guard captain, stole his outfit and then headed outside hoping to gather some further intel. As the captain, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted, so I headed up the stairs and gained access to a couple of rooms I hadn't been in yet, but as usual, they were devoid of anything useful. In one of the rooms, I found a pipe I could climb, which happened to be the same pipe I'd climbed earlier, just one balcony below. I climbed to the top where even guard captains didn't have access and found myself back at the recording booth as the rockstar was entering. I followed him in, getting spotted in the process, and then just shot him point blank. I knocked out the crew, headed back out the way I came, beat the staff for good measure, stole an outfit and then got reprimanded by the guard unit and eventually got wasted. In run 13, I managed to obtain the master keycard from the washroom without being spotted, but I must say it was very difficult and very close. I headed into the linen room, knocked out the gardener, dumped his body, flooded the nearby sink to distract the bellhop, knocked her out, then knocked out the worst dodgeball player of all time with a wrench to the back of the head. I then carefully slipped past the camera's gaze, knocked it out, tried to distract the staff with a tossed coin, got spotted and ratted on by the bellhop to the captain who came running with the snitch in tow. You'd think after hundreds of hours invested in this game I would have better aim by now, but no, I am still just as bad as had I never played it before in my life. I got mowed down and so hit restart. In run 14 I tried distracting the patrolling guard in the locker room with the radio, but instead a waiter came to investigate and when I tried to take him out he screamed like a child, so I hit restart. In run 15 I turned on the radio and then hid in the locker to ensure the waiter didn't see me. I knocked him out, got spotted, killed some men, had one escape and then hit restart. In run 16, I found that when the guard was closer to the radio, then he was the one who would investigate and not the waiter, which is exactly what I wanted the entire time. Unfortunately, when I tried to pick up the guard's gun, I switched the radio back on and the waiter stood up to investigate, to which he would see an unconscious man sprawled across the floor. I quickly switched it back off and tried to dump the body before the waiter approached, which I did, but because I ran around the corner to hide instead of walked, the bellhop spun around and spotted me snooping. I then shot the waiter many many times and didn't realise I had the guard's gun equipped instead of my gold baller, meaning that it wasn't silenced, meaning that everybody heard it. I continued taking them out, took out the approaching guards, took out the washroom staff, took out the linen room staff, almost letting one escape. I found that I could actually destroy the nearby camera from within the room and so didn't need to risk getting spotted by it, which was useful information. I headed round the corner and tried taking out the captain, but he slipped away into the nearby door and then somehow magically manifested halfway down the corridor. I continued taking everyone out, even having one of the exterminators joining in on the fun. I headed out toward the main entrance and continued the massacre until eventually I was killed. In run 17, I managed to take out the guard without switching the radio back on and so dumped his body with no issues. I headed into the washroom to get the master key card but was spotted, so took out the staff and pretended like nothing had happened. In the linen room, I knocked out the gardener, dumped the body, flooded the sink, knocked out the bellhops, dumped their bodies, shot the camera, tossed a coin, distracted the bellhop, got spotted but quickly managed to take him out without anybody else hearing about it. I headed back through the rooms and then got spotted by another guard who I had to gently take out. I dumped his body, then headed back out and flicked a switch on the wall. I curved round and watched another guard come to investigate, to which I cracked him over the head. I dragged his body into the washroom and then headed up the stairs. In this maintenance room, I found a ventilation system which needed some sort of poison. A different poison to the rat poison I was currently holding. Listening to a nearby conversation, I heard that the exterminators had brought with them a very potent sleeping powder and noted that this could be very helpful. I then spotted a woman being escorted by a bellhop into a nice looking office and concluded this must be the hotel manager, Mrs. Mukjai. I had a quick look around and then jumped out of the window and found myself back out near the main entrance. I decided to head back through the window but got spotted by two bellhops who I had to take out. I headed back in and then got spotted by a camera, to which two guards came to escort me out. I'd had enough of this run and this mission by this point, so I just went and found the lawyer and shot him in the head. I headed back to the window and office and then knocked out the staff and stole the exterminator's outfit. Tons of guards descended on my location and then killed me, so hit restart. I was 18 runs deep and still had absolutely no clue on planet Earth what I was supposed to do, and this mission began to feel impossible. This time I headed up the main staircase and climbed through the window into Mrs. Mukjai's office. I knocked out the bellhop and dragged her body across the hallway and dumped her in the locker in the maintenance room. I then had to figure out how to get the guard out of the way. After a couple of failed attempts, I eventually managed to coax him in with the toss of a coin and knocked him out with no issues. That was until the exterminator and bellhop decided to enter the room and saw me dragging the floppy body across the floor. The exterminator went to rat on me, so I killed him and then some guards came and killed me. In run 19, I headed back the usual route and decided to save the game just before entering into the washroom because this was the room I had the most trouble with. Almost immediately after entering, I was spotted, so hit restart. In run 20, I entered the washroom, picked up the master key card, and then quickly headed back out into the locker room. After the locker room, I headed up the stairs into Mrs. Mukjai's office, knocked out the bellhop, and got spotted by a woman who could see through walls, so hit restart. In run 21, after picking up the master key card, I headed up the stairs, distracted the guard, knocked him out, dumped the body, and then got spotted by a camera I hadn't noticed. I was immediately swarmed by guards and then got taken out, so hit restart. In run 22, it was exactly the same as last time, but this time I managed to take out the camera. This was all well and good, but I had absolutely no idea what to do next. The exterminator and the bellhop eventually moved into the maintenance room and I was able to knock them both out, dumping one body in the locker beside the guard and the other around the corner in a wash basket. I headed up the nearby set of stairs and was unfortunately spotted by Mrs. Mukjai and then escorted out by a guard. I headed toward the front desk and checked in and then decided to go behind the counter and read another note left by Mrs. Mukjai. This gave me some great intel in that it provided me with a list of VIPs and what number of room they'd be staying in. The staff didn't appreciate me being behind the counter, rightfully so, and so I quickly darted off and then went to check out the hotel room numbers on the walls. I headed into Mrs. Carrington's room again to pick up the microphone and got spotted by some guards on my way in who politely asked me to leave. I then followed the other guest into his room, bashed him over the head with the microphone, grabbed the speedboat key and then tried to head upstairs but was turned away. I headed back down and out through the door that led to the roof, got spotted by a camera, again avoided the guards and in through the window on the other side. Inside was a number of the rockstar's friends, all planning his surprise birthday party, and they were up in arms over the fact that the special number 27 cake topper had yet to be delivered. With nowhere to go, I headed back out onto the roof, through the other side, shot the camera, tossed a coin to distract the crew member, knocked him out, dragged his body into the nearby room, and then headed through the room with the crackheads. I knocked out the guy on the balcony, stole his outfit, blended in with the squad, headed into the bathroom, and was then joined by one of the crackheads who needed to use the toilet but wanted me to leave first and started shouting at me because I was taking too long. I headed across the hallway into into the party room but couldn't find anything useful. I then found a plug socket nearby and switched it off, causing a crew member to come and investigate, allowing me to slip past unnoticed. Unfortunately, while slipping into the nearby room, one of the Rockstar's personal guards recognised me for the fraud that I was, so tried to arrest me, to which I politely refused. After being torn to pieces, I hit restart. In run 23, I got spotted when attempting to retrieve the master keycard, so hit restart. In run 24, I picked up the master keycard, knocked out the guard and dumped his body, headed up toward the rooms, picked up the microphone and speedboat key, and then tried to get onto the roof without being spotted by the camera, but couldn't find a way at all to take the camera out. I headed into the lounge area to see if I could shoot out of the window, but couldn't see anything. I then tried the other door to the roof, but again, it was exactly the same. I headed into my room and climbed the pipe beside the balcony and headed to the top floor just to see what I could see. I wandered around the whole place and found nothing at all. I did knock out the creepy dude from run 1 and dumped his body, so that felt like a win, but other than that, this side of the hotel bore no fruit, and I was still left perplexed as to how I was going to take out these two targets. Eventually, I headed back down the stairs and headed all the way around the hotel, back through to the underground passages, up the stairs, took out the exterminator and bellhop, and then headed into the downstairs of the correct wing. I opened the doors to the outside and found that nobody was really doing anything, so I looked up and found I could shoot the camera from this angle. After taking it out, somebody came to investigate, and I tried distracting them with a coin, but they didn't hear it. I decided to head outside as everybody had their backs turned, but I didn't account for Mrs. Mookjai and her bellhop to be just standing there. Fortunately, they didn't spot me and I was able to continue without any issues. I punctured a hole in the nearby oil tank, headed back downstairs and knocked everybody out for absolutely no reason at all, then headed back up and lit that tank on fire, causing a glorious explosion. Unfortunately, all it did was knock out the nearby chef and bring all the guards to my location. They shot me dead and that was that. In run 25, I grabbed the master keycard, headed up the stairs, knocked out the guard and dumped his body, took out the camera, opened the doors to the outside and found that the staff were now stood in a different formation than last time and were having an open conversation, so I wouldn't be able to make it through. I headed back, knocked out the bellhop and exterminator, dumped their bodies, headed back to the group outside and just sat and waited. After some more waiting, I headed back to the guard in the locker and stole his outfit and used that to gain access to the outside. I shot the camera, picked up some rat poison and then continued onward to a small security outpost where none of the other guards recognised that I was a fraud, which is hilarious. I got spotted by 2 cameras inside, which was no big deal, and then I began reading yet another note left by Mrs. Mookjai. The note essentially stated what I already knew, in that the roof was currently off limits to guests due to the damage to the glass. After I finished up reading Mrs. Mookjai's note, fate would have it that she would enter the security room at that exact moment and call me out for being a fraud. The guards became suspicious and then tried to arrest me, so I killed them all, including the manager, and then got taken out. In run 26, I decided to start a brand new save file instead of starting from the washroom every time, as I needed to get a little further and make a more helpful save point. I headed through, picked up the keycard, headed up the stairs, knocked out the guard, dumped the body. Whilst aiming for the camera, it spotted me pointing a gun directly at it, which of course immediately drew all armed guards to my location. So with that, I hit restart. In run 27, I closed the doors and knocked out the guard first, moving his body, and then headed through. Don't ask me why, I just sometimes like to change it up a bit to prevent my slowly increasing frustration. I grabbed the fire extinguisher and knocked out the other guard and then plodded on. I worked my way through all of the rooms underground, making sure to pick up the master keycard and then followed the staircase that led outside near the security station, and here is where I decided to save the game. I had a little look around and amazingly managed to get through without being spotted, but when I went to pick up the insecticide from the exterminator's truck, I got spotted by the 3 musketeers. They went to tell on me, and instead of being escorted off the premises, I went straight into being arrested, so I ran away. I quickly ran to the maintenance room and dropped the insecticide into the ventilation system, but did not get to see the fruit of my hard labour as guards descended on my location very quickly. I hurried down the stairs and into a bathroom and waited. Eventually, I just decided to restart because there was no redemption for 47 in this run. In run 28, I tried grabbing the insecticide again, but was unfortunately spotted. I walked over to a guard straight away to see if this time he would escort me off the property, but instead he drew his weapon and ultimately I had no choice. I got killed, so hit restart. In run 29, I headed back through the underground and up the stairs I normally take, took out all of the relevant parties, and after cleaning up, Mrs. Mookjai and her bellhop came waltzing through. I stuck up behind them and knocked them both out, but then whilst dragging the bellhop away, I got spotted by somebody on the upper balcony, so hit restart. In run 30, I did exactly the same as last time, but I was much more careful regarding Mrs. Mookjai and the bellhop. I followed them around and watched them move about her office, and then as they left, I ran away and got spotted by another guard on the balcony above. Weirdly though, no guards came to investigate, so I just carried on as normal. I shot the camera above the door that led outside, headed out, and then tried taking out the 3 musketeers by dropping coins and knocking them out one by one. I managed to take out the bellhop successfully, then the chef, and lastly the waitress. I then hid behind some crates and waited for the exterminator to turn his back so I could nab the insecticide. Everything was going perfectly until I got caught on a plastic bag trying to grab the insecticide, slowing me down for but a second, causing me to be spotted in the exterminator's peripheral vision. Regardless, Regardless, I ran away and headed to the ventilation system, dumped the insecticide, and watched absolute anarchy unfold. After that, I headed out, but some guards spotted me and engaged me in combat, so I hit restart. In run 31, I started a new run from the beginning, but in the locker room, I accidentally turned on the radio whilst trying to retrieve the guard's gun again, got caught dragging his body across the floor, so hit restart. In run 32, I got spotted when heading into the storage room, so killed the witnesses. In the locker room, I killed the guard, but the bellhop got away. I knocked out the waiter and stole his outfit. I then killed the bellhop as he was reporting me for violence. I killed the guards and hit restart. In run 33, I made it all the way through with no issues, making sure to collect the master key card. It had become a habit at this point as opposed to being actually useful. Headed up the stairs, and whilst attempting to knock out the staff, I got spotted by somebody on the upper balcony. I knocked them out anyway and then headed to the door that led outdoors, tossed a coin to distract the squad, shot the camera above, then saved the game. I tried heading out but got spotted immediately, so immediately hit restart. In run 34, I just sat there and waited for what felt like hours until the group disbanded and I was able to walk out freely. I waited for Mrs. Mukjai and her bellhop to pass and then began dispatching the trio, also finding an unmarked dump where I could pile the bodies. I took out the bellhop, then the chef, and lastly, whilst taking out the waitress, I got spotted by a bellhop that honestly was miles away. I dragged her body away, but at that point it was too late. There were tons of guards looking to arrest me, so I shot the rat and hit restart. At run 35, Bangkok was now the longest mission I'd attempted thus far. I immediately got spotted when heading into the storage room, so hit restart. In run 36, I did everything like I was supposed to, but whilst attempting to take out the camera above the door to the outside, I missed. On the second attempt, the group heard the gunshot and came inside to investigate. I knocked them both out as a guard came in to investigate as well. He woke up the woman who had no idea what was going on, and then as I launched a crowbar at the guard's head, the captain walked through the door and drew his weapon. With that, I quit the game. It was now a brand new day for me on run 37 and I was feeling hopeful. I did everything like I was supposed to and waited patiently by the door watching Mrs. Mukjai patrol around the vicinity using my instinct. It appeared that when she finally approached the trio outside, that's when they decided to disband, allowing me safe passage. She and her bellhop came and went and then I shot the camera and headed outside. I knocked out the bellhop, but unfortunately when knocking out the stupid chef, I got spotted by the stupid exterminator, so hit stupid restart. Run 38 looked exactly the same as the last run. Outside I knocked out the bellhop, then the chef, then the waitress, and then headed over to the exterminator to try and nab this insecticide without being spotted. I pulled it off without any issues and then headed back to the waitress to drag her unconscious body into a storage container back inside the main building. As I was dragging her across the floor, I noticed the exterminator stand up, so quickly saved the game and then ducked behind some crates. He then pulled a wild card and decided to walk directly where I was heading, so I had to maneuver around to ensure he didn't spot me. After he headed inside, I followed and managed to dump the body with no issues. I then headed into the maintenance room and dropped the insecticide into the ventilation system. Taking the advice of Drowning Pool, I did indeed let the bodies hit the floor. However, whilst using my instinct, I noticed that a couple of people didn't actually pass out and I couldn't figure out why. The guards began walking around waking people up, and so this entire escapade began to feel incredibly pointless. I then used my instinct to spot the lawyer walking around, so hit restart as I had an idea. In run 39, I spiked the vents only once the lawyer was in the hotel, but apparently he was too far away and it didn't affect anybody in the restaurant. My mistake, obviously. I headed out through the doors and for some reason just walking around caused the guards to become suspicious, with one of them straight up just asking me if I had done this. I shot him dead, because I did, along with several others, and then proceeded to die myself. Run 40, I took a different approach and decided to go straight to the lawyer. I noticed that his bodyguard had a drink on the table, so decided in that moment that he most certainly needed to be poisoned. I knew, because of my many trips to the linen room, exactly where to find some poison, so that is where I headed. I grabbed the poison, got spotted on my way out, so killed everyone in my sight, and then headed back upstairs as if nothing had happened. I spiked the drink, eavesdropped on two bellhops plotting to steal an incriminating piece of evidence against the rock star, and then watched the bodyguard drink the magic potion and followed him to the bathroom as every single person looked on with disgust. Once in the bathroom, I knocked him out and then knocked out an innocent chef who I thought was about to unravel my plan. Dumped both bodies in the wardrobe and then went to find the lawyer. I followed him around and listened to all his conversations and phone calls, which bored me to tears, watched him eat some catfish and vegetables, realised that I could have poisoned him, but then also realised there were 5 dishes that I could actually poison and wanted to make sure I'd get the right one. So followed him all the way around again, and this time he ate a pork curry. Banking the success of a run by guessing which dish he'd try next and not being sure if it was random every time seemed like a bad idea, but I thought I'd try just in case. So with that, I hit restart. In run 41, I headed underground to grab the rat poison, so headed through the different rooms, made sure to grab the master keycard just because, headed back out and toward the food and realised I'd forgotten to pick up the poison. I got spotted heading into the kitchen and then asked to leave, headed to the toilet, knocked out a waiter and then got killed. In run 42, I actually made sure to collect the rat poison this time from the linen room and then headed back upstairs and saved the game. I tried poisoning the first dish on the line, but the chef spotted me doing it and so I hit restart. Honestly, I'm not sure what I was thinking. In run 43, I tried poisoning the food at the other end of the line, but again got spotted, killed some civilians and then got killed myself. In run 44, I hid behind the cooking stoves in the kitchen and watched the lawyer dip his grubby claws into somebody else's food. I headed back out, ran behind the main counter to read the note again as I'd forgotten what it said, and then headed over to Mrs. Mukjai to have a chat. She repeated the same sentence over and over again, convincing me she was indeed a robot. I headed up the stairs and into a lounge I wasn't supposed to be in, started a firefight and then got killed. In run 45, I headed to the floor with access to the roof and again couldn't work out how to get past without being spotted by a camera, obviously forgetting the tactic I'd been using on the door to the outside. I got spotted by both cameras, so headed back inside and then hit restart. In run 46, I headed back underground and stole a guard's outfit as I was now looking for the camera security system. I assumed that I needed to destroy the security system before I could gain access to the rooftop, and a guard's uniform seemed like the right call. I headed up the main staircase to a location I hadn't been before, entered into yet another guest room that held nothing of use, and then found the room that I'd been looking for. The security room. The only problem was there was an enforcer on the inside which would make it difficult for me to destroy the security system. I continued around the guest rooms and found some lethal pills next to somebody's bathroom sink and I couldn't tell if this was sinister or depressing. I headed into a room that was currently being cleaned, found another master keycard, turned back toward the security room and almost got spotted by an enforcer on the outside. I darted behind a wall just in time and then used the keycard to gain entry into the security room. Annoyingly, inside the security room there were cameras, and if I tried to destroy the cameras would see me doing it just before I destroyed them, alerting everybody that I was trying to destroy the cameras. I did it anyway, and it happened exactly like I thought, and just as I was about to read another note from Mrs. Mukjai, I was killed. In run 47, I decided to try the other security room that I'd already been in, forgetting there were cameras in there as well. I waited beside the door for some time trying to find out how I could gain access without being spotted, but there was absolutely no possible way I could get in. I tried anyway, got spotted by the camera, and then quickly found that there wasn't a camera system even in the room, so it was absolutely pointless. I ran away, got killed, so hit restart. In run 48, I headed back up the main staircase to gain access to the main security room, but whilst doing so, got spotted by Mrs. Mukjai. All I wanted to do was read the note from Mrs. M, but once again, they killed me just before I could read it. In run 49, I got spotted by Mrs. M again, along with several guards, and as they began escorting me out, I made a break for it and ran into the security room to read the note. The note essentially said that Dexy Barrett, the Rockstar's manager, had requested the use of one of the safes, implying something very important was being held there. My curiosity had been sated, and so I picked up a shotgun and rifle and began decimating anybody that tried to take me out. After a lengthy firefight, I was killed and hit restart. In run 50, I sat and waited for Mrs. Mukjai to move along from the bottom of the staircase, which took forever, and there was absolutely no reason why. She wasn't talking to anyone, she was just standing there, like a robot. Eventually, after she'd moved along, I crept up the staircase, shot the nearby camera and scared everybody nearby. Fortunately, nobody spotted me and I carried on. I sat behind the railing listening to the crew's conversations about their boss and just waited for an opportunity to move along. While sat there, I had to marvel at the level of detail the developers had put into the game. They could have held the lights up with just a metal pole, but instead they were encrusted with bejeweled butterflies, and if that wasn't enough, they span around. After a while of listening, waiting and marveling, I managed to slide across to the next railing, but was now even more exposed and one wrong move would give me away. But as it happened, I managed to sneak past and gain entry into one of the guest rooms. However, whilst heading through, I got spotted by a bellhop. I continued on, over the balcony, up the pipe to the top floor, and whilst hiding behind some equipment, I got spotted by the Rockstar's henchmen. They became riled up, so I ran up the stairs and hid in the bathroom. After a while, I was killed. In run 51, I got spotted dragging a guard in the underground hallway. In run 52, I went underground and then headed up the usual route, went through Mrs. M's office, and then in through the main entrance. I was beginning to feel like I was never going to complete the mission, and yet all the signs were screaming at me as to how we could get our first kill. Stood in the restaurant, using my instinct, hundreds of giant yellow rectangles were calling my name from above, and suddenly it clicked. I headed up the stairs, waited for the lawyer to approach, saved the game, and then shot one of the light fixtures, hoping to crush him beneath. I shot the wrong one, so hit restart. In run 53, I shot the right one, but killed the bodyguard as well, so hit restart. In run 54, I killed the bodyguard again. In run 55, I missed the light fixture a couple of times, alerting everyone to my presence. However, this time I managed to kill only the lawyer, so I classed it as a success and hit restart. In run 56, I got the timings and aim just right and dropped the light fixture right onto the lawyer's head, avoided the bodyguard and avoided being spotted, making the whole thing look like an unfortunate accident. Now it was time to take out the rockstar. Feeling refreshed, I headed upstairs and moved toward the door to the roof and tried the move I'd used previously, and it worked. I weaseled my way across the roof and through to the other side, and now I just needed to get the crew member patrolling this section out of the way. I shot the camera and he came to investigate, and then when he moved away I followed, but couldn't get the timings right on entering the room, so waited for him to sit down and then just launched a crowbar at his head. I moved into the room, knocked out the guy on the balcony, climbed up the pipe, and as I was passing through I got spotted by a crew member, so ran away. I managed to blitz through the entire level without getting spotted again, although it came very close. Headed up the stairs and found the rockstar also coming up the stairs on the other side. I quickly headed into one of the rooms and realised he was actually going down the stairs. I waited a very long time for him to come upstairs whilst hiding in the bathroom, and then as he passed by where I was creeping, I tossed a coin, he came to investigate, then I grabbed him and snapped his neck. I dumped his body in a nearby wardrobe, headed back down the stairs, but unfortunately got spotted whilst doing so several times, but still managed to make it out alive. Climbed back down the pipe, through the room, across the roof, into room 208, grabbed the speedboat key, headed down the stairs, out the front entrance, ignored the guards at the end of the dock, hopped into the speedboat and boated away. After 56 runs, I finally managed to take out the targets and get away. All I needed to do now at this point was figure out how to do it all without being spotted. In run 57, I headed through the underground to grab the master keycard, not realising that the door to the roof didn't actually need a keycard to get to it, and in doing so, got spotted, so hit restart. In run 58, after collecting the keycard, I headed through the main entrance and got spotted by a camera. I headed to the previous location that I'd stood when I'd killed the lawyer and waited for him to approach. I managed to get the timings correct and only killed the lawyer and then headed upstairs. I headed into room 208 again to grab the speedboat key, popped a crocodile for good measure, and still didn't realise I didn't need a keycard at all. I shot the camera, snuck across, brought the crew member to my location, tried to use the keycard to hide in the nearby room but was too late, got spotted by the camera, alerted everybody to my presence again, climbed over the balcony and up the pipe, and fortunately nobody was aware of what had just happened on the floor below. I got spotted in one of the offices by a henchman, so took him and his buddy out, got caught climbing the stairs to the top floor, hid in the bathroom again, and then just decided to restart because I knew there was no way I was getting out of there alive. In run 59, I killed everyone underground when picking up the master keycard, headed up the stairs and avoided taking out the lawyer, finally realised I didn't need a keycard to get access to the roof, saved the game while stood in the middle of the roof, distracted the crew member, unlocked the nearby door and went in, and then realised the chef had come to investigate instead. Eventually, I managed to coax the crew member into the room using coins and then knocked him out. I headed back out and forgot to take out the camera, so when I tried to aim and take it out, it saw me doing so and alerted everybody to my location. I took out the henchmen and the crackheads, climbed to the top floor, headed through the different areas, still couldn't figure out how to get past the crew member guarding the staircase, realised the rockstar was miles away and so quit the game. In run 60, don't worry, we are almost there. I got spotted whilst dropping the light fixture onto the lawyer's head, so killed everyone and hit restart. In run 61, I managed to take out the lawyer after a couple of misfires, headed up the stairs across the roof, took out the camera, saved the game, distracted the crew member with a coin to the corner of the room, launched a snooker ball at his head, dragged him away, headed into the crack den, took out the guy on the balcony, dragged him away, climbed the pipe, and then got spotted whilst moving behind the equipment, so hit restart. In run 62, I got the timings wrong and got spotted by the balcony guy before cracking him over the head with a snooker ball. I climbed the pipe, worked my way through the upstairs, distracted the crew member guarding the stairs by dropping the piano, hid in the bathroom, and then realised that the rockstar had already passed, so I'd have to wait forever, so hit restart. In run 63, I headed straight upstairs and ignored the lawyer entirely as I still needed to figure out the cleanest route to taking out the rockstar. I headed across the roof, knocked out the crew member, got spotted by the camera I forgot to take out, whizzed through the crack den, up the pipe, through the rooms, watched the rockstar into the recording booth, carried on around, had my timings messed up because Dexy Barrett decided to show up, climbed the stairs and found that the rockstar was right in front of me. I knocked him out, picked the lock, dragged him in, dumped his body, headed back the way I came, and then got stuck on the crew members outside the recording booth. I'd run out of coins, so tried tossing a crowbar over the large boards, but they came to investigate because, of course, a crowbar doesn't just throw itself. I knocked him out and then ran as quickly as I could, headed back the way I came, down the stairs, and then waited for the lawyer to show up so I could drop a light on his head. After this, I headed to the underground tunnels, knocked out the two guards, and then headed through the exit. Run 64. The penultimate run. I knew the route, I knew the plan, I knew how to pull it off, but the only thing in my way was my skill, and if you've been watching this series so far, you'll know it's not the best. That being said, this run was the final practice before attempting the no HUD version, so as not to give anything away in the execution stage, just note that the run was a success. I finished it with a silent assassin and suit only still intact, and beat the level in 12 minutes and 54 seconds. Now before we proceed with the execution stage, I just wanted to thank you all for helping me reach 500 subscribers. The support on the series has been overwhelmingly positive, and I really do enjoy making these videos for you guys. So keep liking, keep sharing, keep interacting, because the more you do, the more YouTube will push the video out. Now, without further ado, I present to you my no HUD, suit only, silent assassin, master difficulty run of Club 27.
Welcome, sir. We are happy to... Welcome.
I've tried every dish on the menu.
This smells terrific.
Fat and greasy chicken.
Do you mind if I...
Who's the jittery guy over there? Looks like another one of those rock stars.
That's Abel's.
Not quite as good as in New York or London, of course, but I suppose we get all your finest chefs.
He was in Death and Taxes.
Keep up the fine work.
Flat Earth Society.
Yeah, I like top 40.
Anyway, De Silva's filling in for the drummer in Jordan Cross's band who quit yesterday.
Man, got ourselves.
Target down. Now on to Jordan Cross.
Gee,
Great. Now they're not even letting guests in.
who the hell could have done this?
Well, whatever it was, we need to replace the glass before some drunken fool.
So, did it? Cross Really? Huh. I didn't like the sound of that.
Look, you want me to deliver it?
Deliver what, mate?
The letter, Neil. The one Dexy Barrett told you to take down to reception 3 hours ago?
Ah, right.
Go see what the hell that was, would ya?
Yeah, all right. Which camp are you in? Accident? Okay. Beautiful.
No worries, Jordan. Yeah, why don't you take part? Go grab something to drink. It'll loosen up your throat.
What,
I don't get that.
Okay, this needs to stop.
I'll be damned.
Oh, look at that. Oh, come.
Both targets down. Now head towards an exit.
Oh.
Now, why would anybody do a stupid thing like that?
Huh. Okay.
Yes, you are the man. He could have brought up monumental records without making a dent in his trust fund.
Oh. There goes my next ex-husband.
Speaking of which, when I came in, everything was so
So I want to get that package for Wes, but reception says one of our guys picked it up an hour ago.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, then do be sure to subscribe to stay notified of future videos. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like, because like I said, the more engagement the video gets, the more likely YouTube is to keep recommending my content to other viewers. Again, thank you so much for the support. It is very much appreciated. I'll see you in the next video where we will be tackling the one you've all been waiting for, Colorado. Goodbye.